And welcome to Endgame Chat for Saturday, February the 4th, 2023. Got a habit of checking my watch now, making sure it's the right date.
Yep.
Season 17, Episode 5. I'm Scott.
And I'm RJ.
Welcome to the show. A show, by the way, that almost wasn't. Not for anything, but just of what happened during setup. This is our headphone cable. This is not our headphone cable. This is the cable that I pull from audio from the show and put to Twitch.
I think I see the problem with it already.
Yeah. So I plugged it in just like normal. And then I guess I was over here setting other things up, and as I walked away, my foot got into the loop of it and pulled it. And of course, something's got to give, and it ain't going to be this one.
Right.
It's going to be the really tiny small one. And I don't know. You probably can't see that where it's at, but
Who's that on my camera?
yeah, you're closer to your camera than I am to mine. Yeah, you can see that. Yep. So the blue cylinder, or the blue ring that's around the base, is off of the PC itself because it just yanked it out. And then bent the tip also. Now, I can't pull the blue thing off because the tip is now bent. I probably could bend the tip back.
Snap.
And it'll probably... Well, hey now. That's not bad. I don't want to overcorrect. There we go. That still looks a little... Can't see it up close, but it's got a little bit of a...
I see it.
Yeah, you know, little bumpy road there. So yeah, that was... Luckily, I remembered seeing the other cable in the trunk of the car a couple of weeks ago, probably. I don't remember how long ago, but I remembered it was still in there. Thank God it was, because I don't have any other way to do it. Only problem is that cord is like 25 feet. It is a very long cord. That's all tangled, but yeah, very long cord. I don't know if that fixes the hum. I doubt it. It'd be great if it did.
Yeah, that's a nice little tripping hazard right there.
What do we have to... Wondering when you edit the podcast for the RSF feeds, the hum is still there. The hum is there. I use, they're talking about the hums because the hum is alive. So when I take the show and do my editing afterwards, I eliminate the hum. You know, I got ways I can do that. Apparently I have no way I can do that here. Although using another cord and having the hum still there tells me obviously it's got to be in the PC itself. But that's the weirdest thing. Same PC we used upstairs. No hum. I plugged it into...
Same PC, different cables, different setup, different
No.
arrangements.
Same cable. Well, I mean, that cable, it was broke.
Yeah.
But before that, I was using the really long cable until I got this much shorter cable to deal with. But yeah, we were using the same cable, same computer. The only thing that changed is the room that we broadcast from. Which leads me to believe that it's something in the equipment here, which is the oddest thing, because in your headphones right now and in my headphones right here, and we've plugged into our headphone jacks to deliver audio before, there's no hum. I don't hear a hum at all.
Nope.
But a hum comes through there. So maybe it is the computer, but if it is, why didn't it do it upstairs? I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, it's me, it's RJ, and it's Mr. Hum. Mr. Whatever he is. So yeah, that's what we've got for you today. And that's my whole story of a little bit of a rush here. If I've forgotten something, it's because I was a little worried that I was going to have anything at all for you today. Anyway, let's see. Am I forgetting anything? My head's kind of... Not sure. Got a phone call already. Hi, you're on In-Game Chat. Who's this?
This is Chris.
What's up, man?
You were talking about the audio issue. What type of cable are you talking about? What Is it one of those 3.5 millimeter jacks or something else?
It is a tiny jack on one end and a bigger jack on the other end. And that is my professional description.
So it's one of those headphone socket jacks, right?
Well, they're both headphone jacks. Yes.
Yeah. One of them's a small one, and then the other one's like a quarter of an inch.
Right. Yeah.
Thick in diameter. Okay.
Yeah.
What you might be able to do, Scott, if one of them's bent, you can probably is it on the is it on closer to the bigger end?
No, it's on the small one.
Okay. Well,
but like I said, I had a spare, so I'm good.
Yeah, well, there's all kind of different adapters and stuff you could get, or if you had to replace the cable, you could, adapt down to the right size that you need and all. But for the audio issue, humming and all, I discovered something else I had found on Amazon or something, that it's like a ground loop interceptor or something that plugs in line with the audio jack. But it takes one. It's one of the small ones, like the 3.5 millimeter. The tiny one that's about the size of a pencil letter or so.
Yeah.
But it's like when there's a ground signal that's interrupted or it's not grounded properly. And I was having it whenever I had my stereo from my cell phone plugged to my radio. If I just plugged just the audio only, it would be fine. But as long as I plugged up the charging cable to charge and listen to something through my phone through the stereo, it would have this feedback loop. And I found this device where you would just plug it in line, like $15 and it got rid of the hum and everything and the feedback completely. So something like that might be able to help get rid of the hum, possibly.
Yeah, worth a try. I mean, when I shop around, because again, I need my backup to be my backup in events like this. So I'm going to shop around and get another cable for the studio, and I'll shop around for I won't go cheap. Maybe I will. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out and get rid of the little hum, and of course, the louder you turn up the volume, it gets worse and worse. And then I discovered this little device. It's basically in line. You just plug in directly in between the line and where it goes into the radio, and it got rid of it completely. It's just a small little box, like half an inch square, and about a couple inches long. And it got rid of all that little feedback and audio noise that was going through the system whenever I had both the charging cable and the headphone jack plugged up, listen to music or something from the phone.
Yeah, I'll look around. I'll shop around, see what I can find as far as I need another cable.
Remember, it was called a feedback loop cancellation device or something like that. But it's just a little short cable on the end of it in a little box, and you plug one into the other in line with the audio jack, and it might help.
It may, and it may be the computer itself. The way it was connected upstairs is maybe different the way it's connected down here. I don't know, but obviously it didn't work. Didn't have that problem upstairs, and I think we ought to move back upstairs. So, no, that's not going to happen. Chris, have you played anything? I appreciate the advice, by the way.
Been still playing God of War.
Yeah. I'm going to be talking about that a little later on. Not too spoilery, but I did finish the game, so I'm going to. I'll be talking about that a little later.
It.
Huh?
Absolutely enjoyed it like crazy.
Yeah. No. I mean, not crazy or anything. It's a very, very great. It's a great story. It's a good game. So yeah, I mean, I'll talk about it. I really have nothing negative at all to say about it. I mean, I could probably come up with some nitpicky things that kind of annoyed me. I'd like an easier access to the map. That's about my only complaint. Instead of going to the, and then there probably is a quick way to get to the map. Where I can press a button and go there, but I had to go to the skill up screen first, then scroll over to the map, then look at it from there. I mean, like I said, but if that is my only, or if that's the kind of complaint I'm throwing at, very nitpicky, very minor. So, but yeah, I'll be talking about that a little bit later on. Like I said,
the part I'm at, I'm somewhere a little bit past where your son split off and went to Valheim to visit Odin, and then you got control of Kratos, and Freya decided to join your team and make up for, and become your ally and everything. And I'm somewhere right around there, or just a little bit past that point where Freya I went through that map with her, and then now she's part of, she's an ally now, so that's roughly where I'm at.
Okay. All right. You still got a ways to go, or at least it feels that way for me. I don't know. God, it took me forever. I don't know. I can't remember. I put 40 some odd hours in it, close to 45 at least, maybe more. 45
I got
hours.
more on mine already, doing that, just exploring and doing a little bit of story, and then exploring everything that I can after I get to a stopping point on the story.
Yeah. And you do, by the way, get a very, it's a very much a, hey, is there anything else you want to do before we do this thing?
Gives you a good warning, huh?
Yeah, not that it matters, because again, at the end of the game, the world does, you do get to continue on after the game is over. Not as a new game plus, but you get to go and finish up anything. Now, in every single thing that I've read, when I look up these things, they're like, well, how many of these are left, or what do I have to do over here, the blah, 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 blah. All these things were telling me that was going to happen, which honestly, I feel like that's a spoiler to me. I feel like that's a spoiler that, you're going to get to play, unless there was some trickery in there where you revert time or something like that, and you go back in time and whatever. I don't know. There's just, it was a little bit, you're dealing with the end of the world. So to tell me that there's stuff you can do afterwards tells me obviously that it's not the end of the world.
You just stop the end of the world from coming, basically.
Like I said, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but that seems to be the case. It's like Ragnarok is the end of all things. If Ragnarok's about to happen and there's still stuff to do after the game's over with, then obviously something prevents the end of the world. Or there's trickery afoot, and they do some sort of narrative, twist type of thing where it's like, you're playing in the past with whatever. I don't know.
Okay, how about this then? You beat the game, right? Did it feel final to you watching the ending of it?
Yeah, no, it totally does. Yeah,
it feels like the last hurrah, the final.
Yeah,
the final thing, right?
I mean, it felt like the end of the game. Yes, if that's what you're talking about.
End of the story. We're done here. There's nothing else coming out after this. We put all our effort into this.
No,
no, it didn't feel that way, did it?
No.
Okay, yeah, well, there you go.
No.
Another sequel or something. They've got an opening for something down the road, like a sequel to a movie or franchise or something like that. There's more to come down the road.
I'll let you play.
That's fine, yeah.
And I'll let everybody else play too, who may not have finished a game that's been out since November. Here it is, February. But
basically, the storyline didn't hit a brick wall, but there's a possibility to go through that wall and keep going down the road if they want to, huh?
I believe so. I think so.
Well, that's good then. That's good to hear.
I thought it was interesting how they did that, though, because they did finalize a few things. There are a few things that are finalized in this, and I thought it was interesting as to how you continued after the game was over with in doing that. So I thought that was interesting. So.
I've noticed that some of the games like that, they'll let you, load a previous save right before the end of the game, and you can go back and do everything, but you've still got the credit that, you beat everything and all, even though you know the outcome. So maybe they're just letting you go back right before the very end when you fought the last battle or whatever it may be.
You'll find out when you get there.
Sounds good to me. Y'all have a good day, and we'll talk to you later.
Take care, man.
See ya.
All right. Bye.
And by the way, he's already hung up, but I know he's listening. Thanks again for the advice on the chord thing that we're talking about. So, just to go into it, I have played Destiny, and I don't even know if I should tell. I mean, Marvel Snap's going to always be a thing that I'm always going to play because it's a handheld. Mm-hmm. It's on your phone, and if I've got 5 minutes, I'll play a match or something like that. So, but yeah, Destiny for me, and God of War, wrapping up God of War for myself as well. What about you, RJ? What have you played? Anything?
For the most part, I've been playing a lot of Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown.
You've got a thing next week.
Yeah, I got a thing next week. So I'm trying to play that. And
are you doing any tournaments next week? Or
I'm planning to do some tournaments next week. Just I don't know what they're offering
on offer. Yeah.
But they're probably going to use the basics or the ones that's anime based because it is an anime convention. So it's probably going to be Guilty Gear Strive. They're most likely going to have Street Fighter 5. Probably King of Fighters. I'm not sure. So probably those three is going to be
King of Fighters totally anime based.
Yeah,
I think, isn't it? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
No. Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear looks.
Guilty Gear is
anime.
much more, and there was another one.
Melty Blood.
Blaze Blue, I think, was another.
Blaze
one?
Blue has an anime feel to it.
Yeah.
Blaze Blue, Melty Blood, Guilty Gear, Strive. Does have an anime
I don't feel like
to it.
Street Fighter does, but Street Fighter's just.
There's anime made of it, but it's not really. It doesn't have
Yeah,
an
but
anime
it's
feel.
your what's the one they call it's your legacy title, man. It's your it's the granddaddy of them all type of thing. You know what I'm saying? It's Street Fighter.
Yeah. It's
You
the
know?
it's the final at Evo, so yeah, go figure.
Why are you not going to have that exactly?
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're going to have some tournaments. I'll just check it out and see what they got there and play whatever's available. Ones that I got a shot at doing something in, basically. But yeah, for the most part, it was Virtua Fighter 5, just trying to get some more matches under my belt and get some more rank up because I lost rank today. I lost a step, lost rank in there, and it happens. You know, sometimes you're not going to win every match, of course. You know, it's competition. And with competition, you learn things about yourself, and I've been learning things left and right.
Yeah.
In this losing streak, basically, that I've been seeing. You know, thank goodness the PS4 has auto recording because I can take those matches and look at them and see where I'm screwing up. And I saw a lot of mistakes in those matches that I had today. A little hard to come by, but I'm still plugging away. And I think there's some dedicated lobbies and rooms being made certain days a week. I just have to go to the website, virtualfighter.com, and some players will put days and schedules that they get together, that they stream or get rooms together, and we can just go in there and start playing and learn some stuff. It's not ranked, but it is experience. So you can go there and I can get it that way, and I can apply it to ranked matches and improve my stats from there.
Well, all right. Did you play anything else?
No, that's
Just
it.
that?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, we're coming up on the... you know what? I didn't give out everything. If you want to get in touch with us, our phone number is 334-272-9228. Check out ingamechat.net for all the links to get in touch with us. You can find us on Twitter, also at ingamechat. You can find us on Facebook as well. That way you can email us, everyone at ingamechat.net. Right now we're on Twitch, streaming with our backup audio cable and the hum. And go to twitch.tv, type in in-game chat, and you can watch us there. You can also find us on Discord and join in there and talk to us on the air live while we broadcast if you want to do that as well. Yeah, if you listen to the show through the station's streaming app, no hum there either. So you'll get a delay from watching it on the thing, but if you watch it on Twitch, you're going to get a hum. I don't understand it. Anyway, let's see. The chat room flew by as we were talking to Chris there. I used to work at a phone central office. We had to do some soldering, and sometimes it made a little splashdown on some other equipment and created a problem like that. Oh, the hum. Yeah. AC Wraith, I finished the creature-collecting Metroidvania Monster Sanctuary, and now I'm on to Miles Morales. Thar says Miles is great. It is. Very short. Seems to be very short, I guess, compared to the original game it's based off of. It's a expand-alone, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I was trying to think of the term we called it. I was thinking it wasn't half a sequel. It was like the step between DLC and full-blown sequel. Like it's right in the middle.
Yeah, expand-alone, basically.
Expand-alone,
It's an expansion, but a standalone, so it's, it's expand-alone, I guess. I don't know what you're saying. Yep, and a small look at maybe the next one. If that was about God of War, it says hard to talk about without spoilers. You can do that with this if you did those. I have no idea what he's referencing because I'm coming back from whatever we were talking about, so I need to pay attention more to the to the chat room there. We have coming up. We will talk about that. I'll talk about God of War because I did finish it, and I wanted to make sure I finished it in two parts. Like I started the end of the game. The part where they say, "Hey, you can't go any further," or if you want to wrap anything else up, go ahead and do so.
Yeah, this is the point of no return.
Right.
I'm letting you know now.
I started that, got to the end where there's sort of an epilogue before the credits, and stopped there, and then came back the next night or the next two nights or something like that, and then finished it up. Wanted to make sure that I actually got a completion of the game. credits roll, everything, before I came here, just in case there was some weird thing, twist, whatever, that happens. And there's not a weird twist or anything like that. There is stuff that happens, once the game is over with. No. Yeah, once the main... before the credits, there is still stuff that happens. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to make sure I got everything in there before I came to talk about it, just in case. So, we'll go ahead and take a break now. When we come back, we will jump into that, the Destiny stuff. And, I won't really go deep into Destiny because whatever. It's Destiny. It's the same thing every week. This is music, though, from Dead Space. It is the new Dead Space, the...
Dead Space remake.
The Dead Space remake. The Necromorph's Attack is the name of this track. I think it's from this version, but honestly, I don't know that they did an update on the music.
I can't tell. You would think.
Are you playing the remake? Are you playing?
I've been watching watching folks play it, and I don't. The music never stood out for me in the game. I was more focused on my surroundings and surviving.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking about the music really in the game.
A lot of times when they talk about remasters, it depends. If you're going from 16-bit, 8-bit, 32-bit, maybe, I don't know. Mm-hmm. If you're going from something that far back, and then you actually have an orchestra redo the score for the new game. Mm-hmm. That's perfectly fine. But this comes from an era when orchestras were already being used for...
What I'm saying is the music is, while nice and it's part of things that it's a part of gaming in general, but for a game like Dead Space, I wasn't focused on music at all. Like I've said, I'm so focused on the gameplay and getting through it. I'm not focusing on the music at all, so I wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah.
That
Still, though, I wonder if that. Yeah. Well, it probably.
You think it would be?
They may not have changed it, but did they did they re-record it? Mm-hmm. Or did they? I mean, considering that they've changed some of the way the game plays, did they have to add music? Did they have to come up with some original music to throw in since they've changed some of the ways that the game now plays and the way that it works? Or did they just use the regular tracks? I don't know. Yeah. When games do these sort of remaster things, yes, you can get... Take, for instance... and the only reason it's coming to my mind is because I saw the ad for it, Limited Run Games, their February games for Limited Run Games, A Boy and His Blob. I remember playing that on the Nintendo, the NES. Mm-hmm. That had an 8-bit soundtrack. It was MIDI. It was bleeps and bloops. Mm-hmm. Then A Boy and His Blob came out... for, I don't know, I think the GameCube or the Wii or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah,
they did they didn't really do a remake. They completely redid the game, and obviously it probably had an orchestra score to it or something better than bleeps and bloops. So yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, Dead Space just wasn't there for that, so I don't know. That's what this track is we spent that much time telling you about this. It's called the Necromorph's Attack. And we will be right back with more of In-Game Chat. Welcome back to In-Game Chat. I didn't realize how sad that music is. Yeah, for the game that it's for. It's for a VR game, mini golf. I know, right?
No, I mean, I've played golf games before. Sounds kind of typical, actually. Slow paced, easy listening.
It's mini golf.
Still golf.
Anyway, it's from Walkabout Mini Golf. If you've got VR, it's available there on either your Quest, Meta thing, whatever it's called now, or on PC as well. The name of the track is called Seagull Stacks because it's pirate themed in the area. Just interesting. God, it gets worse. Or sadder.
This is sad to you.
It's got a little melancholy tone to it, man.
Golf.
We got golf on there and they never play in this stuff.
Okay, listen. Okay, next time the golf event comes on, watch the music.
Now, if it's the Masters, I get it. And maybe if it is the others, but when it's the Masters, it's got this really low voice. Who would be talking behind this music?
You know what this sounds like? British, just before the British Open.
Yeah. Welcome to the Masters. It's what it sounds like.
But it's sad. Okay.
It's got a sad tone.
Like Happy Birthday?
It's got a sad tone to it. I think so. I could be wrong. I don't know. If you're hearing a sad tone, don't call up and we're not going to play a vote. We're not going to do a thing. But, I don't know. Curious if it's got a little sadness to it. Anyway, that's 3 minutes of sadness right there. At least to me, 3 minutes of what is it to you? It's
Golf
not
music.
sad.
Golf music.
Is it happy?
No.
Is it
Peaceful.
peaceful? Okay. Well, you know what? Peaceful, tranquil. That can also be sad.
Yeah. Peaceful and tranquil. That's what I wouldn't call it sad. Just one of those two.
I wonder if it depends on the mood you're in when you hear it.
Could be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Music matters in gaming.
It does.
Yeah, it
but
does.
that's for mini golf, and I don't really think it matters in that. Listen, the entire time I played that game, I didn't think it. And if I go back and listen to other tracks in it, I don't know. I'll have to go back and check. I'll have to go back and see.
Yeah.
That is not what I mean, I put the music in there.
It's fitting. To me, it's fitting.
Okay.
Now, if you heard that in like Burnout Paradise or something, you'd be wondering what the world's going on.
Can I show you Walkabout Mini Golf?
Okay.
This is not going to mean anything to anyone. Stop it. I want to go here. Walkabout Mini Golf. We're out there. Is there a trailer? There you go. Do we have audio for this?
Mm-hmm.
That works.
Okay.
Anyway, there you go. I mean, that's what they're using in the trailer. So, just thought I would just compare, contrast, that sort of thing. Anyway. Puts you to sleep like watching golf, says Thar 66. We have golf on in the room, only for the fact that we keep specific stations on in this room. We could change them, and sometimes we do, but most of the time I just leave it on the stations we need to leave it on because
I would say to each his own, but golf. Not when you're trying to play it. When you're trying to line up shots. When I play PGA 2K3, when I'm trying to line up shots and get the things right, kind of wide open at that point.
Yeah. So I played Destiny, and what have I done? I've done my grind, and now I'm working on my Vanguard grind. So I've been playing strikes, just a bunch of strikes. I'll be doing the Nightfalls tomorrow. Tomorrow morning I'll get up and I'll start my Grandmasters, which are the tough ones.
Play with random folks or
random folks being the people who are on, like, well, you can't see because your computer's in front of the way, but people who are on the LFG Discord for Destiny, I'll go in there and find, somebody who's playing, because none of our clanmates are doing anything at the time that I get up in the mornings, on the weekends or otherwise, really. Some of them are West Coasters, some of them are East Coasters, but they still ain't up. So yeah, it'll be me and some random folks. If I decide to do that tomorrow morning, I may wake up and decide to do something else in Destiny. But really, that's what I need to be doing. It's double rep week in the Vanguard playlist, and it's the last thing that I need to reset my ranking system twice in, and I haven't even done it once yet. So I got to do it twice. So I expect after tomorrow to have already reset once and at least get a good enough, a good chunk of the way through, the second, so that I can finish that off. Yeah. And then after that, it'll be just doing little things here and there. I won't have to worry about rep weeks. I won't care who's got double rep weekends or anything like that. I'll just, do my stuff. To get it over with, because we got another game coming out at the end of this month. We got a new expansion. We got a new. It's an expansion. Yeah, it's not a new season, or it's a new season, but it's a whole new expansion coming out at the end of the month. Everything begins again. I don't know if it begins again the same way though. Last year it began with you. You had a good chunk of a gap from where you were level-wise to where you could get to the cap. But I want to say that they said season to season now it'll just be a 10-point increase. However, I don't think this counts. I think expansions are different, and season to season is still 10. I'll have to look that up and see. So, yeah. I'm banking bounties again. They did say the new raid, this will be one that I have no experience with. That goes live the Friday, not the Friday after release, but the following Friday after release. And the contest mode and everything else that's going to be implemented will last the entire weekend instead of just 24 hours. There will still be a race to be world's first to complete it. There will still be an achievement or a triumph or some sort of thing to be able to beat it within 24 hours of its launch. And then you've got the entire weekend to beat it while still in contest mode, which will be a triumph in and of itself to do that. So I don't know that I'm going to try and do it. I tried to do it with King's Fall, and I knew that raid. This is something that I'm not going to know anything about. So I don't know that I am prepared for that kind of a time sink. Like I was with King's Fall. I was prepared for it, and I got in there, and I played, and it was a headache. I did not enjoy it. So, now, maybe that was because I felt like, I'm going into something that I've got a leg up on because I played this way back in the day on the first game, and this is something I know. And it's just going to be really difficult. And it was very, very difficult, but I couldn't do anything. So it makes me wonder, going into something that I don't know at all and having the same difficulty, why would I want to do that? Given my experience last time, So I'm kind of weighing that in my head. I want
rewards.
to do that. Yeah, rewards, but I'll get God of War's taught me this. A lot of games have actually taught me this, where even Destiny is really if I look at it, Destiny has really taught me this. Maybe not as much as it should, but the things you get done, your accomplishments in that game are very short-lived, I think, before you're on to the next one. Yay, I beat it this weekend. That's great. you'll be happy with that for like a month. Not that you're going to be, annoyed by it or anything, but
I would think
the attention will move on. You know what I'm saying?
But the rewards I'm talking about is gear. Because that's what it's all about in Destiny, gear. I mean, accolades are nice, but it's the gear that matters.
But once you get the gear, once you get the whatever the drop is for the boss you just beat in that raid,
yeah,
you can't farm it. You're not gonna. Well, I guess maybe I don't know. You can, but it's the only gear you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying?
Grind it into something else.
Well, yeah, you can do that too. You can go and grind something else if you want to. That's fine.
No, I mean take that top tier weapon and like what's the term?
Oh, infuse it.
Infuse it into something else.
Yeah, you can. That's fine, but it's not going to drop top tier anymore. Once you've beaten that boss and moved on to the next one, if you can't beat the next one, you're not getting any gear from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like you just said, get some other stuff and infuse that too. I mean, that's all that really matters in Destiny to me anyway. It was just the gear.
Oh, no, I get it. I understand it's the gear. What I'm talking about is and I'll get the gear. The raid's going to be around all year.
Yeah. And
I will eventually get that gear. And I'll get it at whatever, because by the time this season, okay, so that season launches February 27th or something like that. Mm-hmm. That'll go through until like May, sometime in May. By the time May hits, I will already be at whatever the cap is going to be of my level. Mm-hmm. Whether I have that gear or not, whether I get it from other places, I'll already be there. I'm going to be there eventually by the time that season's over with. And then I'll be moving on to whatever gear they're adding for the next season that takes the next 3.5 months or ever how long it is. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying that your achievements are short-lived in that game. Because you
still go for them.
Because you move on. Well, see, that's the interesting part of it, isn't it? Yeah. Is that I still keep doing
different gear.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's different gear. I think for me, it's
different elements of the gear. I mean, it's not the exact same thing every time, is it?
No, it's not.
How many times have I picked up a certain weapon? It's like missing the one thing that I want.
Some of them in our clan, they chase that gear. I'm not much of a gear chaser. Mm-hmm. I'm a level chaser. I'm not achievement chaser, whatever it is in there. I'm like I'm doing right now with the Vanguard. I have to reset twice because there's a challenge to get a weapon from resetting once and then getting the different look of that same weapon for resetting twice. Mm-hmm. There's a challenge for me to do that, so I'm going to do it. And then when I'm done, how often am I going to use that weapon again? I'm using the weapon right now because there's another triumph for using that weapon to get kills in different events. Mm-hmm. Once I'm done with it, which I finished that up this morning, I'm not going to use that weapon anymore. Or at least not for it's a pulse rifle. It's really good, but I've got a better submachine gun that helps out a lot better than that pulse rifle does. Mm. So for what it can do for me and my build and my outfit and everything else. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's an odd thing to look at. And I guess if we completely break down gaming, it's a wonder we play any of them at all. As far as what drives us to do that, or maybe what drives me to do it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. I look at, again, it goes back to skipping out on getting the collector's edition of God of War, or not the collector's, but the digital deluxe edition that comes with some of these things that you're going to start out the game with. Like, oh, hey, that'd be great to start the game with. But by the time I get to the end of the game, not even in the game, probably by the time I get halfway of the game, I'm not using that gear anymore. Mm. It got me so far, and then I don't need it, which I would have gotten to the same place without it if I just didn't have the gear to begin with, which is what I've done. So I don't know. I look at it as, I guess it depends on the situation, maybe. Mm. I'm way overanalyzing this. But I guess maybe it depends on the situation where what is value to you? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
what
you're not going to
play
every game in your collection the same way. I mean,
no.
I mean, when you play Crackdown, the challenge was finding all those packages across the entire city, right?
Right.
So, you don't play every game like that. Some do, some don't.
I will start every game like that, though. And if the game can hold my attention, I'll continue doing it. But there's some that don't. Mm-hmm. There's some that'll. I mean, Crackdown 2, for instance.
Yeah.
There was plenty to chase down in that, but the game didn't hold my attention, so I didn't finish it.
Nothing that made you want to stick with it that way.
Right, and so I didn't finish that or Crackdown 3. It just never held my attention. So I don't know. It's there's some sort of analysis you can look at on that whole situation of why you do these things over and over again. And I guess the value that I put in it is because that's the challenge that is given to me, and I take on that challenge season after season, year after year. It's fun with them. I get to see, and I'm invested in. Boy, let me tell you, I'm invested in Destiny. If you was it China? Yeah, Blizzard to make World of Warcraft. Another one of those invest hours and hours and hours on end of your life, days and even years for some. They totally up and abandoned an entire country. I mean, China, they left it. They said, and if you're in China, you cannot play World of Warcraft anymore. It's gone. I don't know that there was any heads up. I don't think there was, but it's completely gone. They can't play it anymore. There's a thing here, and this is Nabokov fan who put this in our Discord. This guy says, as a gamer who spent as a gamer who spent 10,000 hours in the world of Azeroth, which is World of Warcraft. He also mentioned StarCraft and Overwatch, which is other games. I feel so heartbroken as I will no longer have the access to my account and memories next year. One day, when what has happened behind the scenes could be told, developers and gamers will have a whole new level of understanding of how much damage a jerk can make. I don't know what happened to get it removed. Do I have it in here? I don't think I had it in here. No, I don't. And I don't know why I don't have it in there. Maybe I thought that maybe the headlines I was interpreting was that they were their offices were moving out of China. No. That's not what happened. They shut down the game in China.
Well, here's an interesting article. The first words, I cried all night.
I can imagine.
Millions of Chinese lose access to World of Warcraft and other hit games.
Well, yeah, StarCraft, Overwatch.
Okay.
I mean, the entirety of Blizzard's catalog is gone. Hearthstone.
Let's see, yeah. This is off of CNN Business.
Yeah.
Millions of players in China have lost access to the iconic World of Warcraft franchise and other popular video games as Blizzard Entertainment servers in the country went offline after 2 decades. The company's services in China were suspended at midnight local time on Tuesday, marking the end of an era for fans after a licensing agreement with longtime local partner NetEase expired. Them licenses again.
I don't understand it.
20 years.
I know, 20 years,
and a
man.
Just gone. Wow.
20 years. We're looking at close to 10 years for Destiny. 2014, 2013, something like that.
10-year plan.
That was their 10-year plan, and they've got one more expansion after this one. That is apparently, I guess, wrapping up the story and what Destiny began as from ever how long ago.
Yeah.
I don't think it ends Destiny. It just wraps up that story from 10 years ago. But yeah, you put that much effort, that much time, that much money, and everything else that you've done, and then they just take it away from you.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they could do it at any point. Not out of any kind of malice. They could just do it because, we've gone bankrupt. Or, we've lost, everything and we can't get it back. We can't get it back to you or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's plenty of reasons that it could just not be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought. A blessing and a curse, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if they pulled Destiny off, I don't know if that would be. I don't know if a bunch of people would cry out in either relief,
let's see, relief,
or
relief,
anger,
celebration, anger, rage. You're gonna be we're gonna run the gamut of emotions. On
that. not celebration because good, Destiny's done. This other game can be whatever.
And the time-honored favorite, indifference.
Yeah, there's that too.
Yeah.
I think there would be a lot of people who would be like, finally, my chains have been broken. I can now play other games. I can now move on and have what other gamers have have only told me about, which is the ability to sit in front of your library and say, what am I going to play today?
Yeah.
Instead of sitting in front of your library and saying, let's play this, the same thing that you've been playing. Yeah, I mean, it's a habit. It's obviously that, but this is the only game I do that with.
Yeah.
You know, everybody has their thing, and this is the game that I do it with. If it was gone, would I find something else to do it with? Probably not. Probably because I've been there, and it's like, all right, it's done. I don't have to worry about it. Which is it's just something I'm curious about after the expansion that releases next year. The one that they seem to be set on being like, here's the end. What happens after that, you know? What are they going to do? I know they're working on new IP, and that's great. I just don't know how they're going to do it or what they're going to do. So this year will be same as it ever was, basically. Next year will be interesting to hear about what their plan is for that final expansion, how it's going to wrap up once that year goes through and they wrap everything up, and what their plan is beyond that. And how that's going to work. It's interesting to me. It's also interesting, you know, it's something I've really, you know, we didn't consider it, 2 years ago, I think. 2 years ago when they announced Beyond Light, we got the titles for the next 3 expansions. Witch Queen, which came out last year, Lightfall, which comes out this year, and The Final Shape, which comes out next year. And at that time, we're like, oh, wow, 3 more expansions. Ooh, Final Shape. What does that mean? What's going to happen? Oh, goodness. You know, think about it afterwards. You know, it's like, oh, it's coming. It's in the future. Nothing to worry about. Hey, guess what? The future's next year. The future is next year. What's going to happen? You know, I don't know. It's interesting to think about. So, we haven't gotten into a lot of the news that I would like to get into just yet, and I haven't talked about God of War. I don't really have a lot of time right now to jump into God of War to tell you about it, and there's not really a lot to tell. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to spoil anything as far as the story or anything like that. I'll just give you my thoughts on it and, you know, go from there. It's not really a lot to say. At this point, you've seen the game get nominated for plenty of Game of the Years and other awards that it's won. It's done very well during the award season last year. Elden Ring did too. Finishing the game up the other day made me curious about Elden Ring, because this is a good game. God of War is a really good story inside of a really good game. Sometimes you can get one or the other. Sometimes you can get a really good game that has a really horrible story. Sometimes you can get a really great story that is wrapped in a really horrible game. But then sometimes you get both. And this I would consider both. I have a couple of questions. Not related narratively to anything. Just, again, overanalyzing it. And I talked with Wendy about it the other night, because she was there when I finished it. And I will tell you about that coming up next hour, because we're about to have to go to break here. We got music here from a game called The Last Clockwinder. I was looking through Steam, and this was on the front page. It was like, games you might like. The Last Clockwinder. This is a track called Fuel Generator. We'll be right back with more of In-Game Chat right after this. And welcome back to In-Game Chat. This is music from Hi-Fi Rush. If you haven't played it, it is on Game Pass, PC and console. Pretty good reviews for a stealth-released title. I may get back to that now that I'm done with Gone of War. I don't know why I was thinking that. Gone with the Wind. Now that I'm done with God of War, I might jump back into Hi-Fi Rush now and put some more time into that. I thought it was interesting. I enjoyed it, the music and the rhythm and everything else that was going good. And then there were parts where you're doing, you got 3D space, and then all of a sudden become a side scroller real quick while you're doing that. And then I saw there were other modes of play that happen as you're going through the game. So, it's a small little title, but very well done and completely secret. Like, it was announced and released the same day. Mm-hmm. So you rarely get those. And it's fun when you do, especially when it's good. There's been others that haven't. I remember there was a Capcom game that was it a Dead Rising arcade spin-off type game? It's stealth dropped. It was announced at E3, and then it said, the game's going to be available to play starting, today. I can't remember what it was. Mm. And I want to say it was a Capcom game, but I can't remember. This is going years back.
Yeah.
I was actually at the E3 when that was done, so that's how far back it goes, like 2015, or further back. Been a minute since I've been to an E3, which it doesn't look like.
Wasn't a Devil May Cry type game, was it?
I don't think so. No, it was an arcade. It was a legacy IP. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It was one of Capcom's IPs, but done in a very arcade style that is different than what the original was. Kind of like this new Bayonetta spin-off thing that's coming out. Mm-hmm. Is not necessarily like Bayonetta, but it's still sort of set in the world or whatever. Anyway, I can't remember what that game was. Speaking of E3, like we were saying, the Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony have all decided not to attend E3 this year. So there will be no Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo games on the show floor. E3 needs to wrap it up.
So the big three ain't attending.
The big three are done, man. And there's been others who have pulled out. EA is obviously not going to be there. They didn't do it last year.
Yeah.
So EA doesn't do it anymore. Activision Blizzard doesn't exist, and they haven't done it in a long time. Mm-hmm. So, they do exist, but they're about to exist under the Microsoft umbrella. If that whole FTC thing goes through, we'll see if that happens. But mainly thinking is that, you're done, E3. Just stop. They won't, but they'll eventually have to do something because they won't be pulling in the money to afford the building that they keep renting out, which is the Los Angeles Convention Center. They're going to have to downsize it or do something. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but you're done, E3. You're done. So, all right. God of War. I finished it up. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I really did. The story was fantastic. The story's really, really good. The story's really, fitting in some levels depending on maybe your experience. For some people, this thing's going to hit real hard. The whole father-son story. Mm-hmm. This thing will hit really hard for some. For others, it'll hit, but it won't, it'll be just because of your enjoyment and everything. You won't have any experience from it, but it was really, really good. Really well done, really well told. A game that just simply eclipses the first in almost every way. But the first had to be there in order to set this up. You couldn't have had what you had here if you didn't have the first. Mm. So you had to have that. You had to have Atreus as a boy with his father at a younger age. And then you had to have the game as he has grown up a little bit and gone through this with his dad again and everything else. You had, for these things to hit, you really had to go through that.
We needed the drama.
Yeah, you needed the drama. You needed the character development. You needed that build-up. You needed to... This is a game that you could easily jump into without having played the first. Sure, you can do that. If there is any way possible, don't. Play the first and then play the second.
If push come to shove, get the recap off YouTube.
Do that too if you'd like to. Do that as well. I suggest playing it though. I think there's a stronger connection when you play the game. And this is something. Look at this. I'm doing 2 pens. This is something that. This is something I was talking to Wendy about after we were done. We started watching something else, and I was like, I really, really enjoyed it. But I wonder if I would have enjoyed it more if I had not done all those side quests or played the game like I normally play games, which is going through, scouring everything and getting a lot done before I finish it. Would I have had a better enjoyment of it? Or do I enjoy it so much now because I put in that time? Because I spent more time with these characters? Is the story and the payoff and everything like that, is it more fulfilling to me because I spent all that time going through doing everything that I've done, or would it have been even more so had I just really stuck to that story and then gone and done the other stuff afterwards? I don't know.
Can you beat the game without doing the side stories?
Sure. Yeah.
Would it have been more difficult?
That I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because I think we've talked about this before when we played like Last of Us 2. The problem with the reason why you didn't enjoy the game as much as you did because it broke the flow. That was the way you played it. It broke the flow of the story.
Right, and I didn't play that this way.
So in this case,
that was extreme. Last of Us Part 2 was an extreme difference. That's something that I don't normally do, but I did.
A lot of flow breaking.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
massive
long, extensive flow breaking.
Massive,
but
yes.
In this case, as with any story game, if you don't have anything that breaks the flow too badly, I don't think it alters your enjoyment enjoyment of the story that much. As long as it doesn't break the flow significantly. I mean, it didn't give you a side story that took you so long to do that you would forget the elements of the story that you were working on before you started.
No. Because the good thing about it is that there's so many side stories. If you're working on one, you're likely going to be knocking a few things out for some of the others while you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Just because of the traversal, just because of the things you're going to come across, you're going to eventually do that. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of stuff to do after the game. Once the game's over with, there's a new thing that pops up that only happens after you've beaten the game. So there's more stuff for you to do. Mm-hmm. Now, you were asking me, is it more difficult to... I honestly think the story bosses scale with you. Mm-hmm. The challenging bosses, the ones you have to seek out and fight as a side quest, they don't scale. I think they're a set difficulty. You don't necessarily have to do the side missions to beat or to beat the story. Yeah,
they'll let you go through it. Because I think in past, in my recollection, playing the older God of War games, you had to do like side missions or explore a lot to build up the necessary XP to get those abilities unlocked so that you could handle bosses and and things like that.
Now I do that because I especially do that because there's the power-ups that permanently extend your health and permanently extend your rage meter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I am very specific about trying to find those before I go to the end of the game, but it's not necessarily needed.
Yeah.
You can still do it. And like I said, I believe, and I don't know this because obviously I only played it the way that I did, but I believe that your story bosses, the bosses that you encounter in a main storyline, are scaled to your ability.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're going to out-level you in that regard. The bosses that you find just wandering around the realms, and there's the berserkers. There's berserker gravestones all over the place, and you find those. You trigger them. You know what's coming. It's an optional boss fight.
Right.
And some of those have different difficulty levels. Once I got done with all the ravens, like all the they're called the Eyes of Odin, and there's 48 ravens, and I finally killed the last one, and I went to the raven tree and opened up my last chest. Talked with the ravens, because the ravens talk to you in like poems, and you have to defeat the raven mother which is like some witch who's imprisoned the ravens. Anyway, she's purple. She's a purple bar. That's bad. Yeah. Most of the time I'm fighting greens and yellows. Maybe the occasional red. But a purple bar is big. Purple bar is up there.
Yeah.
And it's scale. I don't say it scales, but it's purple based on what my level is.
Based on level. It's basically the same thing as like green or yellow would be at your level or one step above. The darker or the more different the color is, it's more. Yeah. The more health they have than you. Yeah. Like if they had a blue bar or something, and then they're a lot higher than you. But purple,
I think it goes green, yellow, purple.
Okay.
Maybe red's in there, but I don't think red. I think red may be in between green and yellow, actually, to be honest with you. But if that's even even in there.
At what point is it impossible? Purple.
I thought purple. Yeah. But I took out this, I went ahead and started the fight anyway and beat her. And it was a multi-tiered thing. Like I would get her down to a certain level of health and she would vanish and in would come this other boss that I would have to defeat. Yeah. He would be on my level, but it's another boss fight. He gets full health. I get whatever health I was left with whenever I got done with that last one. I beat him and I'm still in this fight. So
the attrition boss battle.
Yeah, she comes back. You defeat her, or you bring her down to another level. Another boss enters the ring, and so is a lot of that. But that was my first purple that I had defeated, and I was like, oh, okay, great. I had a problem with a green bar berserker earlier on that I still didn't finish. Mm-hmm. The one that was giving me the anger issues we were talking about last week. That one was giving me anger issues. Because I wouldn't beat it, so I left it alone, and I haven't gone back, but I'd like to now. I've extended my health, I've extended my rage meter further since the last time I fought him. I've upgraded a lot of things. I would like to go back and try that fight again. I'm a little nervous about it because I do not want to get aggravated again.
We want that run back.
Yeah, I know. So but I do want to go back to it and try that. Anyway, game's great. The other conclusion that I came to in asking that question about would I have enjoyed it more if I stuck to the story or did I get the enjoyment out of it because I spent so much time with these characters? The other conclusion to that was it's whatever it works for you. If your play style is to comb every single inch of the thing while you're playing before you get to the end, then you're going to be satisfied with the ending. Mm-hmm. If your play style is to just get through the story, you're going to be satisfied with the ending. I think you're going to be good either way you go on this.
Right.
I think maybe there are some games that exist where just get through the story, because that's the enjoyable part. Or maybe there's some where it's like, I don't care about the story, I'm just going to play these side missions. And that's the enjoyable part. Or all the other different things that are out there. Some of the open world titles.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some examples of that, like Fallout.
That would be a good point.
Some of the side missions were a lot more interesting.
Any of those actually, like Skyrim.
Yeah,
Skyrim, Fallout. Any of those are going to be in that vein, where it's like, who cares about the story? Go find your own stories.
Yeah. How about so where would Forspoken be in that category?
I don't know. I have no idea. I haven't looked at anything on that game. Mm-hmm. Forspoken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on what the gaming community was saying about the game.
I'd have to go back and look at that. I know I put it in there, but the gaming community, it's bad. It's a bad game, right? Or am I missing something?
Bad story? I know bad story kept popping up.
Is it?
Bad story. What was it? Bad story, clunky controls, or difficult controls, and
somebody liked the parkour that was in the game.
It was pretty. It was like there were elements that were pretty to look at, but you know how I feel about games nowadays. If you better be pretty in 2023. Too many resources available for you to be for you not to be. I think the game looks nice, fine, but I think it was bad story and some control elements that needed some polishing.
Probably.
Before it was released. I think that was what it was.
It reviewed horribly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyway, God of War, good. And as much as I have put into it. I'll put in some more maybe to finish up this last little quest that opened up after the game was over with. Seems like that shouldn't be too hard to do and get some of these other things finished.
Yeah.
But not necessarily going to be a priority. I want to do it before muscle memory goes away. And I forget how to throw attacks, and I forget all my entire setup as far as how I approach battles. So I want to do that. Did download Alan Wake Remastered because I bought that over the Black Friday holiday. And I mean, I played Alan Wake before, but
never played that one, but I do have it though, at least through Steam anyway.
Yeah. So this is the remastered version. I'm going to play it on the PS5. And Wendy hasn't been through that one yet, and I think she'll enjoy it. I know I did the first time around. It's been years since I played it. It works in that episodic way.
Yeah.
There's the episodes for it, which I think is fantastic. That means I can put in an episode and then come back to it later, get my little recap of what happened. So, yeah.
I was thinking about Wendy, Dead Space. Has she ever played that one before? No. Think she like it?
No.
No.
No. I think
despite her favorite genre.
I think she would like it. I don't think she would like playing it.
Okay.
Only out of and I don't like speaking for her when she's not here, but just due to controls. Would be.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people talking about it through playthroughs, like they liked it better on keyboard and mouse. But
I don't know. That's not what I'm. That's not.
In my case, I would do console because that's what I was playing it on from the get go.
Yeah.
But so what do you mean about controls?
Well, she learned how to use a controller from Animal Crossing. So I mean, that's her extent of using a controller, and she's learned more on how to do that from playing other games as well. And I think Dead Space would likely be a challenge in how to get that maneuverability, that third-person camera situation. It might be a challenge she'd be willing to put the time in and try and go through, but I don't know. I think she would enjoy watching me play it, but I don't want to play that game. I don't do survival horror. I don't.
Even when it's high quality as Dead Space.
No, I don't play. I only play Resident Evil because it was co-op. Resident Evil 5? 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah, I only play Resident Evil 5 because it's co-op. I did play. What's the one she watched me play? We've all played it. Until Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm good with QuickTime events. I'm okay with that. I ain't good, and those had jump scares, but Dead Space, no. Dead Space is dark. Dead Space is a lot of dark, a little bit of light, a lot of scary.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Low ammo.
Not really.
Not really? Okay.
Ammo's not really an issue in that. Well,
I just thought ammo was a resource thing.
I'm putting my experience in there. For me, I'll say for me.
Okay.
For me, ammo was not really an issue in that game, especially when you get all your tools. Really. I mean the running.
She loves any of that survival horror stuff, but the problem is I don't play any of that survival horror stuff. Alan Wake is about as bad as it gets for me as far as survival horror, and that's not what that is. That's more narrative horror, I think, than it is anything else. It doesn't feel like survival horror. It's more, like I said, a narrative type thing. She loves it. We will sit there and watch trailers all day of little horror games that are coming up. Callisto Protocol wanted me to play it. Even though it got bad reviews, we went through and we watched the death montages. But
and that looks even worse with Dead Space coming out.
Of course it does.
Oh, it looked horrible after Dead Space.
Of course it does. And it even feels bad because those developers are people who worked on Dead Space. Callisto Protocol, it has gotten bad reviews with the exception of how great it looks. Other than that, there's your...
There's no excuse.
There's the thing you were talking about.
There's no excuse for it.
It's pretty.
That's
about all.
But the thing about it is, and I wonder how much the price is going to drop on that now.
Oh, I'm sure it'll go down.
$20.
They've already the company's already changed their projections for the year as far as what the sales are going to be based on the fact that it did so poorly.
$20.
So yeah, easily.
$20, yeah,
easily. By Black Friday this year, easily $20, probably less.
Before Black Friday, it'll be $20.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I think it easily will be. Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
completely. I don't do this. Outlast, no, I'm not playing it. Callisto Protocol, no, I'm not playing it. Maybe, no, I probably wouldn't go back to, what's that 360 game? Condemned, Criminal Origins? Whatever it was.
Yeah, that was fun, especially that second part, the ability you unlock at the end of that one.
Now, I might do the Dark Pictures anthology. I might do those.
So you're not... Gore is gore the issue?
No.
Okay, if gore's not... Okay, then I can see that then, because gore really is the worst Until Dawn, or I think any of the Dark Anthologies series is gore is the highest impact of it, really, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Gore and jump scares. But it's basically your decisions. It's basically your decisions really that get that it's all about.
And that's what that kind of draws me to it, is the fact that you do make those decisions. The jump scares I can deal with. Something about Dead Space and something about Resident Evil, that sort of thing. There is a feeling of I don't know. There's just a sense, and maybe it's because of where I'm coming from. Dead Space reminds me of a time when I didn't play those games, and so this remake says, "Well, why would you do it now? You didn't do it then." It still affects me in that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Still has that effect to me. Resident Evil's something else. I never played those games.
Yeah, that took me a while to get into Resident Evil. I played that series. I played the series backwards.
You did, yeah.
The first Resident Evil I ever played was Code Veronica.
Yeah.
And I went backwards from there, and then caught up with the rest of the series later on. But in terms of Dead Space, yeah, I bought that, played it, loved it, played 2, played 3, and then I want to play the remake, but I don't have anything to play it on right now. But that's going to be down the line later.
Yeah.
No matter how long it takes, I'll get to it eventually.
I mean, maybe it's a game I could play. I set everything to easy, or whatever, and go through it that way. You know,
there should be. Yeah, there was a difficulty setting in Dead Space. Yeah, so
I definitely know there's one in the remake.
Yeah.
So let's go to the phones. I have no idea who's on the phone here, but hi, you're on in-game chat. Who's this?
Biloxi Game.
What's up, man?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I got a question. I got a comment. First thing, that golf game where you were playing that music from.
Yeah.
When I heard it, before y'all even started discussing it, because you played it, then I don't know what happened, and then you come back and then you talk about it. And when I heard it, I thought it was like it was reminiscent to me of a Ken Burns documentary on the Civil War.
That's a good comparison. Mm-hmm. I remember the music from that because I would fall, not that the Civil War is not important to me, but I would fall asleep to that. I would go to, there were times when I would go to bed and I would find the Civil War documentary that Ken Burns did. I would just put it on there, listen to Peter Coyote, whatever his name is, who was the narrator for it, and the music with it, and then I would just fall asleep as they're reading letters back and forth that these guys wrote when they were in the Civil war. So
there was a lot of violin, wasn't it? A lot of
yes, it was a lot of violin.
A lot of slow violin. Yeah,
there was a lot of violin, but it's a good. Yeah, no, that's sleeping music.
Some kind of a flute too. See, it had that flute sound in it.
Yeah, I want to say it was in his baseball documentary as well.
Yeah, but I get
baseball.
Yeah,
what's the boss challenge in the show? Because I've had the boss, I think it's called Boss Challenge. You reminded me of that when you were talking about boss something on another game. Mm-hmm. But then I'm up to bat and it goes Boss Challenge, and it'll show the pitcher staring at me like he's mad and everything. And then I hit a grand slam, but I don't. There's no fanfare after that. Big deal. What's the Boss Challenge?
I don't know. I don't play that. By the way, that's coming out. That's coming out. What, next month?
I think the pre-orders are available on.
The show 23 or 24? 23.
They're going to feature Derek Jeter on the collector's edition, and I think one of the players for the Marlins, Jazz, someone. So I know it's a Marlins player, but I know a lot of people were talking about, saying, why is he on the cover?
Oh, the Marlins guy who got the cover, yeah.
I'm not going to buy any game where it's not the Cleveland Indians anymore. So,
yeah.
I don't understand
well, then don't update the game you have, and don't buy a new one, because otherwise they will.
Yeah.
Because I play them over. I'm still playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I just go horse riding and fishing and do a little bit of hunting and all that. And then I'll knock out the mission because I've already completed the game several times. Destiny's probably going to end at the very end. They're going to say, "Okay, it was a dream," and then you wake up, the alarm clock goes off, the game's over, and you have to go to work where you're sorting cracked eggs. So you're on an assembly line, and they use the real clock on your computer, and it has no end. You have to do it for 40 years.
Yeah. That's it. Job simulator.
Yeah, but hey, Dark Anthologies, I'm with you there. And I still haven't started, their latest version because I'm holding back on it. And the Quarry, I hadn't got that yet, which is, I don't know if that's part of it or not.
It's not.
RJ,
It sits outside of that, yeah.
Yeah.
RJ,
Yes.
You mentioned that you didn't have anything to play on, and that's what I was going to say. Can you give us an update on your broken down computer? And I guess I'll talk to y'all next Saturday.
All right, man, thanks.
Yep.
I got to get you that CPU.
Yeah. It was basically what the status right now is that we've tested the motherboard, we've tested all the other peripherals on the computer, and they all work, except the last thing we got to check. The last thing now that's left to check is the processor.
Yeah,
that's it.
I talked with
I
talked with their IT guy. He did have a spare. He sent me that, and he said it did work with your socket.
LGA 1150.
1150. It will work with the 1150 socket. So as soon as he was supposed to drop it off this week, and I never did see him. So I'll reach out to him again.
Yeah. But when I do, I'll when I get hold of that processor, I'll put it on the motherboard, and if it works fine, it's that was the issue. But if it doesn't work, then I don't know what the problem is. I may just have to start another build at that point, because I don't know what it could possibly be. We tried everything, and they say, like we said, if you tried all that and it all works, then it's got to be the motherboard. We replaced the motherboard, and the same issue comes up. But the only thing that didn't change with the motherboard was the processor.
I know, so I feel like it's the processor, but we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
That reminded me that I didn't mention that we're not doing a show next week. We are off next week. RJ's going out of town, and we're just going to take the day off. So you may need to swing by the station sometime this week if he drops off that CPU and pick that up. Otherwise, I'd just say, hey, I'll see you next Saturday. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. And this would give you time to put it in there and then have something maybe to come back to after we return to, give an update on how things are going. So, all right. So we're going to take a break. And then when we come back, I don't know, we'll hit some news here. There is some news. There's plenty. There was something I did want to get into, although that Blizzard stuff popping out of Japan or China, just a really big deal. We hit the fact that Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft skipping E3. So we'll talk about some of that stuff coming up next. Here's music from a game called Industries of Titan, or Titan. Industries of Titan. Titan. Yeah. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's how I said it. We'll be right back after this. In a second. I realized we never turned them. I turned the cameras back on because we had a caller of somebody trying to see us. They were having a problem with the stream. I was like, okay, we're in a break right now, and then I just left the cameras up. So yeah, welcome back. This is music from. This music does not sound at all about what I'm. Does not sound like anything of the title that I'm about to tell you.
Is it more golf?
It's not golf. It is. It's from a game called Ultimate Admiral, and it is Battle Theme 3.
Ain't nothing battle about
I know, right?
this music.
I know.
It's not even the music you would use going to battle.
I didn't realize that until I listened to him like this, and it's like there's no battle there.
There's no battle in this.
There's no battle.
There's no battle in banjos and plucking.
No.
On.
So, anyway, welcome back to the show. Let's see. What did I want to get into? Turtle Rock is not doing any more DLC for Back 4 Blood. They're going to make something else. Don't know what. Back 4 Blood didn't probably do as good as they were hoping it would do, and so they're going to pivot into something that's all new.
Now, their standards or
I don't know
overall, because you remember how Square was disappointed with the numbers of this game selling.
They don't have those kind of standards, but it was still expected. It was Turtle Rock's the people that did Left 4 Dead,
right?
So doing Back 4 Blood in the same style as Left 4 Dead, 4-player zombie shooty thing, it didn't really, it didn't ring the alarms as far as sales.
Yeah,
it just didn't do too well. As much as you would think something like Left 4 Dead. I think Left 4 Dead was a nice little lightning in the bottle. It started the surgence of zombie shooter type stuff. That may have been going on already, but if it wasn't, it was not. We weren't neck deep in it like we became.
Yeah,
where everything was a zombie shooter.
Everything had zombies in it.
I know.
Yeah.
So I think that it was a product of its time. I think it was a success of its time because of it, and now not so much. It's a lot like, something I realized watching Last of Us, not this weekend, but in previous episodes, this past weekend, but in previous episodes was the fact that I was like, oh man, I'm getting that Walking Dead feeling again. And I don't like that. Because I was done with Walking Dead. And then it's like, here's this, and I was like, oh, I'm getting Walking Dead vibes. Luckily, they've been able to still keep this thing interesting. They've been able to, I don't know, I want to say differentiate themselves from Walking Dead, but at least tell a story and give us that story wrapped in this show that, especially after this past Sunday's episode, there's no comparison between the two. There just isn't. There's absolutely no comparison between the two. Last Sunday's episode of The Last of Us is just one of the best episodes I've ever seen of any television series. Just extremely well done. So very well done. It is nothing like as what was in the game. They took a character from the game and did not give you that character from that game. They gave you the story of basically the way he was in that game. Like, you meet him after all of this stuff has happened. And there's differences there too. And I'm not going into spoiler territory in case you haven't seen it or maybe haven't played it, whatever the case may be. But there are differences between the game and the show heavily from last week's episode 3.
So they fleshed out one of the side characters?
Yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he basically got his own episode.
Okay.
With parts of Joel and Ellie mixed in.
Do you foresee them doing that with any of the other characters, notable characters in the game?
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. And it's kind of a surprise they did it with him because he doesn't really play a major part in the game in the first game. Mm-hmm. He doesn't play a big part in that.
If there was someone you could think would be more, I guess, deserving of an episode like that, could you think of anybody? Like anybody in the Fireflies or how'd that organization start?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
Well, that might be an episode in and of itself.
So
how they started and how they got to where they are.
You do get little bits of that, whether it be the characters talking to each other, you get some of that, or maybe just in other forms or signs or clues or things like that. You kind of get an idea of how some things came to be or how some things came around. But no, it was really it was a fantastic,
good episode.
Well done episode.
This is number 3.
That was number 3. Yes.
Number 3. Okay.
Season 1, episode 3. I think you'll hear about throughout the year, and when this thing comes up for award seasons, I think you'll hear about it for that as well.
Okay.
But then again, I haven't seen the remaining 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I think it's a 9-episode series. I think.
Yeah.
So
there's still room to.
There's
still
room
to botch it up.
There's still room to either screw it up or blow me out of the water again. With something amazing like this.
So far, you're on a high note. You're at a high note right now, so don't deviate too badly.
So no, I think they're going to be okay. I really think they're going to be okay. 3 episodes in, and they really haven't done a stinker yet. So I think they're going to be fine. And that's great. That's great to hear. That's good to know. And like I said, I was worried about oh man, I was thinking about newcomers coming to this, being like, okay, let's see what all this hype is about Left 4 Dead or for Last of Us. Let's see what all this hype is. Oh, what? This is just Walking Dead. And I was getting that vibe as I was watching. I was like, oh man, this feels very Walking Dead-ish, and I don't like that. I was like, I don't. I'm seeing when they would show shots of how the world is now changed and everything, which is weird. I didn't get that from the game, but maybe because there is no Walking Dead game. But I didn't get that from as playing the game, thinking, oh, this is just Walking Dead in game form, which kind of is. But I never experienced that until I watched the show and I was looking at everything and seeing it, and I thought, it's Walking Dead again, and I don't want it to be that way. I really don't. I lost it. I mean. For one, I don't want it to go on for, I don't know how many seasons Walking Dead went on for. But I don't 11? Want it to, huh?
11?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Too long.
Real.
Way too long. And I don't want that to happen with this game or with this series. And I don't think we will. But.
11.
Yeah. You're right. There are a lot of Walking Dead games. I just never played any of them. That's the thing about it. I never played any of those games to feel like that. And even if I did, I would relate the two. In other words, I would compare the game to the game and not the game to the show. I would compare Walking Dead game to the Walking Dead show, but I wouldn't compare Walking Dead game to Last of Us show or Last of Us show to Walking Dead game. They would be compared with each other. Yeah. Which would be a thing, but yeah, I don't know. And then they had spinoffs. Walking Dead had spinoffs. I don't know. But it's not there. If you're looking at Last of Us and you're thinking, oh, that's just Walking Dead again, I don't want to get into that. Don't. It's not. Try it. Give it a go. At least, and that's a big ask to watch the first 3 episodes. But coworker here, Rich Thomas in the mornings, read an article about how the song used in episode 3 got a massive 4,900% increase in downloads after the episode aired.
Yeah.
And he was really curious about it. And I said, oh, yeah, no, it's a fantastic episode. You should watch that. If you can, watch the first. And he went through. He watched the first one, he watched the second one, and he watched the third. He thought it was just a 3-episode series.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, no, there's more. So, he loved it. He said it was great. In fact, yeah, he said, I have his text here. I can tell you exactly what he said. Because I thought it was interesting from somebody who has no experience with the games or anything like that. He said, The Last of Us, Episode 1, intense. I am profusely sweating, I kid you not. That was at 2:45 p.m. on Tuesday, 4:45 p.m. on Tuesday. Oh my God. Episode 3, I am soaked in tears. No wonder that song got the uptick in streams. Oh my God, powerful. I am a wreck. How beautiful. So, yeah. And maybe I shouldn't have said, I'm sorry, Rich, maybe I shouldn't have said that over the air, written all that stuff out for you, but it's interesting to come from somebody who has no idea about the game itself and is watching the show and still had that emotion from it.
Good story.
So,
and it pulled it in.
It did. And anyway, it's great, and I look forward to tomorrow's episode as well. So, hey, we got a call real quick. Mm-hmm. Hi, you're in in-game chat. Who's this?
Hey, it's me again.
Oh, hey, Chris. We only got a few minutes left here, but what's up?
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that about Rich watching the series of Last of Us. That's pretty darn cool.
It is, yeah. Well, he was intrigued by the song getting, he's like, well, what could do that? Because obviously we saw that in Stranger Things with Kate Bush and everything, so he was interested in, like, what would do this Linda Ronstadt song so well. So he was curious about it. I said there's 3 episodes. You can start from the beginning, which I'm glad he did. He could have easily just started at episode 3. It's kind of a standalone. It puts aspects of what's going on in there, but it's kind of a standalone episode. I think, honestly, you could probably take, and again, we don't know because we haven't seen the rest of the episodes, but I think you could take episode 3 out of the lineup and you would still have a narrative from 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, ever how far it goes. I think you would still have that. I don't necessarily believe it needs to be in there, but it is amazing that it is, and it's wonderful, and I'm glad that they did it, and I'm glad they went that direction. I'm glad they didn't say, well, this is how we have to adapt it, this is how the game was. No, they said, this is how the game is, let's tell our story. Since you didn't in the game, let's tell that story. And also let's change it up a bit. And I'm glad that they did, because it gives me hope that maybe they're going to change up some other things too. Maybe I'm going to run across stuff that isn't in the game, and I'm going to enjoy this more because I didn't get to experience that,
If they broaden out on everything and give you more background on the characters and other stories that didn't take place in the game or you didn't see, that's I'm all for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it kind of, it doesn't kind of make me wonder. I started thinking as you were talking about that, I started thinking about Amazon. They bought the rights for God of War. God of War had God of War games previous, I don't know if you could have ever adapted that. I mean, you could, but it would be, I don't know. The story here in both the 2018 and this Ragnarok are really, really well done, and there is something there. And I believe that's what they're adapting for this series that Amazon is going to do with God of War. And I don't know, I hope it's good, but, this gives me hope again. Seeing Last of Us do what they're doing gives me hope yet again that a transition from game to another form of media, television, movie, can be done and done very well.
Mm-hmm. And add on to the series and not, make it well worthwhile, and then do the game series and stuff justice.
Yeah, I believe so. I wouldn't even say justice. I mean, they could have just used the name and given us some other story to be told in that world. And I probably still would have been there for it, if it could have been done well. It doesn't necessarily have to do that. I think there's plenty of stories to tell in Last of Us because I think there's so many different ways to look at that. It doesn't always have to be Joel and Ellie. It could be somebody else who's having to go through whatever this whole situation is. God of War, probably not so much. I don't think that could be the case because that's very much a Kratos thing. Mm-hmm. Even the name implies that's fine. God of War, it just didn't feel, these 2 games that were here did not feel like God of War games, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Compared to what we got previous for ever how many games, 3, 4, I think, with tons of little...
Slaughterfest?
Yeah, basically. Mm-hmm. Angry Slaughterfest is all it ever was.
Yeah.
And you get some real emotion here, at least from the characters. And probably from the players, too. It depends on what your experience has been as you've grown up, maybe.
Of course, now the question is Rich going to be able to convince Greg to start watching this series or not?
I don't know. He may. I don't even know if Greg has HBO. But yeah, that's a possibility. But we'll see.
But yeah, it looks like Rich it's hooked him big time, huh?
I think so. I think he'll be there for the next one. Maybe. I don't know. So we'll see.
You probably want to wait to see what the outcome's going to be, and what comes next. If it suits him that good, then that's great to hear. So we'll talk to y'all next time you're on the air then.
All right, man. We'll be on not next week, but the week after.
All right. See y'all later then.
See you, man.
Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye. Yeah, just to reiterate again, we're not going to be here next week. What else do we have? God, there was a lot I wanted to talk about. From NASCAR saying, hey, you can't wall ride anymore. But we only have a few minutes left. PlayStation Plus has given away some really good games this week. Mafia Definitive Edition, Ollie Ollie World was really good. And Destiny 2 Beyond Light is now available for you. Star Wars Jedi Survivor got delayed. And then there's tons of others that I just did not get into because we just kept rambling on. But we will eventually get to it. RJ, thank you so much for showing up here, and I hope you have a great trip next weekend. Mm-hmm. If you join into those tournaments, I hope you do well, buddy.
Same here.
And everybody else, have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy next week and the week after, and then we will see you in 2 weeks' time when we come back. But thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Thanks for all the callers that we had here. Q-Ball called in the middle of a break. That's who I was talking to whenever you could see us. Chris, thanks for calling. Biloxi Gambler, thanks for calling in as well. And everybody who's joined us in the chat room. Jack Kraft, I believe, is a new name. Oh, wow, we have ones. O1 Ella, actually Hannah, Alice Dre, Avasmamore, Bama Bryan, Big Judge, Commander Root, Syndica, Drapsnet, Drunk Degenerates, Jack Kraft, Kata, Lethal Migraine, Multile, Stephen Van Dam, Thar66, Valentina Alcarez. Sorry, Violet's T. I am horrible at reading these things. Here's music from Forspoken. We'll see you next Saturday, folks.